Hello, this is Beverly from scrapandthread.blogspot.com. Today I wanted to show you some different embossing techniques, and I'm using this stamp set. It's a close to my heart set, and it corresponds with the Art Philosophy Cricut cartridge. On the cling sheet it tells you what sizes to cut, the shapes, the blossom shape and also the 1-inch circle shape. And on this stamp set there's some petals, the leaf, and as I said, that 1-inch circle. So I'm using this stamp set now for stamping on pear colored cardstock from Close to My Heart. I used black ink and I stamped it on one of the die cuts with one of the petals, and then I left the other green petal die cut blank so that I could layer it along with this 1-inch circle that was stamped also with the pear ink on white daisy cardstock. Then I use a little bit of adhesive to put my 3 layers together, and this is for the technique that's called embedded embossing. The great thing about embedded embossing is that it gives you a very flat embellishment that's great for mailing or putting in a scrapbook page. You don't have the bulk that you do with some of the other embellishments that you can make. I'm using Cassie's Brocade folder from Cuttlebug, and the design then is embedded into all 3 layers, and as I said, it gives you that very flat dimensional shape, which is a really interesting and cool effect. Flower die cut is cut at 2.5 inches. However, it's an easy shape to cut, so if you didn't have a Cricut, you could certainly use scissors and just cut around that shape very easily. I'm going to show you another embedded embossed flower. This one has a pear cardstock background, and then the white daisy was stamped with 2 different colors of ink. I used black in the center of the petals and then the pear ink on the outside, and then I used pear ink for the center. And this is going to be run through the Cuttlebug with the Swiss Dots embossing folder. It's one of my favorite. Makes such a nice design on so many different kinds of embellishments. That 4-layer black and white flower shape was embossed with the Sizzix Hearts folder. It comes 2 in a package with another design, and it offers a really nice effect. Now I want to show you what I meant by embossing individual components of the different kinds of embellishments. This happens to be black cardstock that I stamped with that flower image, and I used white pigment ink and then heat set it so that it wouldn't smear. I also used the same white pigment ink on the green cardstock and then sprinkled it with white embossing powder and heated it up with my heat gun so you get that nice glossy look to it. And then there's a 1-inch circle that I cut out of the green paper also. Individually, these are all laid out onto the embossing folder. This happens to be the Swiss Dots embossing folder from Cuttlebug. And then you make your little sandwich to put it in there. The petals are kind of getting away from me with the static electricity, so I'm kind of grabbing that back out there. You want them not to be overlapping, otherwise your embossing will become embedded embossing instead. Because each of the individual components have this dimensional shape to them now, you can get lots of texture on your scrapbooking page or your card, and you can pop that up with foam dots, or you can adhere it just flat together depending on what your needs are. Here's an example of one that I already had made. This is with blush ink and holiday red ink, and all of the components are individually stuck down for the petals and for the center. They're put down onto a card base that had been embossed with another folder, and the background die cut was also embossed separately. I want to show you how if you use different kinds of embossing together, you can still create some really cool yet mailable techniques and effects. So in this example, I have a white base for my blossom, and then I used white pigment ink and embossed it with the heat gun on black cardstock for each of the petals. And then you do need to fussy cut those out, which doesn't take very long. And then, as you saw, I had embossed with the embossing folder the 1-inch black circle. And these are just laid down flat. Using the Tombow mono adhesive means that it will be mailable. You don't have to worry about extra bulk in your envelopes. I'm going to stick these all down flat and speed ahead here to show you the center part that I decided to go ahead and stick with a 3-dimensional pop dot so that it sticks up a little bit higher and you can really see that embossed effect on it. This last flower has all of the individual components embossed with embossing folders, but it also has all of the petals with heat embossing. So it's got two different effects going on there. And it adds a lot more texture to the flower. I'm sticking all of the petals down using the 3-dimensional dots, and then I'm going to also stick down the center with an additional 3-dimensional dot. This gives it a lot more kind of oomph with the extra height, and it also kind of lets every part speak for itself, which is cool. You can use foam tape or any kind of dimensional type of adhesive that you'd like if you want to add that extra height to your flower. Here I'm using a quilling tool or some tool that I use to pick up stickers. You can use a piercer, a paintbrush handle. I'm using it to turn down the petals onto the blossom so that it gives it an additional amount of height to that embellishment. I think it adds a little bit more interest to it, and it makes it look really nicely done and kind of just a nice little finishing touch. So there you have lots of different kinds of embossed embellishments. We've done embedded embossing, regular heat set embossing, embossing with folders for the individual components, and if you flip them over you get the debossed side. I'm showing you a couple of examples. If you don't like green, there's red and yellow, any color you love. Use what you like, and I hope you enjoy this. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. Take care.